Let's dive into the world of tabletop gaming and painting with the Tippy cast. From rolling dice to mastering brushstrokes, we're here to fuel your passion. Join us for insights, inspiration, and endless creativity. I'm Chris.
And I'm Daz. So, Chris, what's on the table?
Well, this last fortnight I have done no painting, but I did build and clean a load of models, including Rumble Slams, Petty Fight Menagerie, the executive branch, and the superstars that were released along them. Uh, in the latest pieces of D8 superstars. Also got the models I got from Only Games, the alien inspired ones. Got them all washed, and a bunch of Fallout models, which includes the TV show character, like tie-in box. So I mean, I've not done any paint, like I say, but I've still done some it. What about
Nice.
yourself?
Well, I've made a start on the little fountain, leading on from our previous episode
Hmm.
of improving scenery. So that's been got some base colours on it, and it's got the base colours on the pulcinellas that are going in that fountain. Um,
That's the Sarissa Precision,
yes,
isn't
the
it?
Sarissa Precision World War II European fountain, to be specific. Really, really nice kit. Not paid to say that. I just thought I'd mention it.
I like Sarissa Precision stuff. I've got a couple of bits myself for The Walking Dead.
But yeah. So um, obviously I've got to do it in a certain way. So I'm gonna get some water effects. I thought I had
Hmm.
some, but for the life of me, I can't find it. But with the UK Games Expo coming up, I'm gonna have a look online, see if there's any sort of prices. And
Hmm.
then if I go to the show, there might be some good show deals on terrain stuff. So I might have a look around, and if there's nothing better than what I could find online, I'll go back and look online. But there's no real rush to that.
Yeah.
That's going to be right at the end, like really what
Hmm.
it's going to be doing, because it's obviously going to be. I've got to paint the fountain itself, paint the inside of it. Then I've got to fill it up with a little bit with water, put the drunk punchinella in the water, then fill the water up above
Hmm.
him. And then I'm
Yeah.
probably going to make it look like he's just fallen into doing some like splash effects and stuff.
Mhm.
So that's going to look quite nice.
Yeah.
Um,
What I use for my water effects is there's some woodland scenic water where it's essentially like hot glue chips,
mm,
and you heat them up in an old pan and pour it in. But I mean, you make sure you don't get that stuff in your hand because it's like napalm. Um, if it's just like a little area that I'm filling in, I use the UV resin. I've got some Green Stuff World UV resin. I use that on my fountain for Carnivale, the one of the TT Combat resin fountains, and you can get like effects for like pouring water and stuff. You've got like a little bit of fishing wire or some like thin guitar wire, guitar strings, as they're called. And just run the resin over that, and they do a really nice like splash medium. It's like a texture paste,
oh, nice.
and it dries clear. I've used that on like, basically anything where I need to put like waves and ripples and stuff. It's
I'll
good.
definitely
It
have a look
goes.
for
It
that.
works well just with a brush, but it works really good with like just spraying an airbrush at it, just to kind of get the spread of it really well. So you're not
Nice.
putting the paste through the airbrush; you're just using the air.
I mean, other than that, oh, what else? So having a look. I'm having a look around my laptop. All of my knolls are all glossed, so I'm gonna be taking some pictures of those. They've kind of been in and out of being painted. Like I'll paint them and then I'll look at them and then something I'll look at it and go, oh, I don't like that, so I'll redo it.
Hmm.
Um, I'm getting to that point in my sort of painting skill and standard where I look at things and I'm like, I can do better. But they are now officially being left alone. Um,
I've got to do that with a lot of models. There was some old Asher models where I would keep stripping them and repainting them. And just as I learned a new technique that I wanted to use on them all, and it got to a point where I never had a full gang of painted models because it was just changing all the time. Which is why, like, on my Crux, I really want to repaint them because I did the like the lizard guys pretty much based on death glows, and the Crux was a glowing death glow, and it's like I could do so much better with that now. But if I start repainting it, I'll end up repainting other models, and I don't want to get into that cycle.
It is a slippery, slippery slope. I've
Mhm.
also built my little swag bag of stuff. Well, my Rumble
Nice.
Slams, no, my Carnival stuff. I haven't. Well, so I've prepped it. Like I've got it off its sort of bases. That's been cleaned up. It's ready to be
Mhm.
assembled. The uh the Carnival Doctor's box set, the Legras. For the life of me, I couldn't remember what it was called. I think it was like uh with the big power suit. That one. That's
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
assembled, ready for priming. I'm a rattle can primer, so the weather was a little bit inclement today for me to do that.
Mhm.
Um, Also, this is a very weird thing that I've had on my table that I finished yesterday. My partner's kids have a dollhouse, and they wanted it to be. There's this TV show called Monster High.
Mhm.
So I've been painting these little black MDF bat cutouts, and I also got asked if I could repaint the chandelier that's in their dollhouse to actually paint it because it was just white plastic. And then I was asked if I
Mhm.
could paint this chandelier. Um, so obviously I painted it black. I sprayed primed it, painted it black. Nice silver highlight on places, and did the candles that were on it, and then I did the fire properly, and then I did a little bit
Mhm.
of one source lighting, and I thought went a bit too much on that. But it was I just thought it was a very weird.
And now you're going to start wiring 1 millimeter LEDs into in
Oh,
each
I don't.
individual
Oh,
candle.
too far. But I did that, and I just thought it was a very I thought it was a too funny thing to not pass up on telling what I had on the table. I just thought it was really funny.
Yeah, I like that. That's the thing as well. It's like when we talk about what we're doing in the hobby and stuff like that. I mean, it's not necessarily always got to be our hobby. So like the dollhouse stuff and things like that. It's like that's class.
Well, my partner's very creative anyway. Um,
Mhm.
but she was like, "Oh, I'll paint that," and I was just like, "Oh, I've got the proper paints and brushes to do all that, and so I'll do that." And then she was like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I did that. It looked really nice. It fits in quite well with the aesthetic of the rest of it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I get what you mean. Sometimes it's weird that the skills can be somewhat transferable to other areas.
That's my apprenticeship assessor. He's been uh, doing a bit of hobby as well because I follow him on Instagram, and he's like he found an old Matchbox car for his son, and he wanted it like redone. It was this like it was the paintwork was all chipped and hammered and everything, and he's been like posting like progress pictures of him like stripping the paint off and like getting it all ready to be all repainted and stuff. And like those are some of those videos I love watching on YouTube where you see people taking like old battered Matchbox cars to start like stripping the paint off of it, getting rid of all the little like where it's like oxidized and
Mm.
then they replate it and stuff. I really like watching all that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
it's some nerd ASMR that as well. And for me it taps into that Gaslands sort of thing as well, because
Mhm.
I do watch people doing that. But
But that's in reverse. You're trying to
yeah,
add more pock
yeah.
marks and
It's weird. It's actually
you're
it's
removing the nickel plate.
Oh, I know. But yeah, other than that, I mean, obviously I've been doing some admin for other things, which is going to lead me nicely on to what I'm going to say now. Um the Birmingham Brawl. at the UK Games Expo. I'm going to be there, so you can see me face. Well, you might not see all of my face because I'll be wearing my mankind costume. Um, so
There'll be straps of your face that you can't see.
yeah, yeah, and so the Birmingham Brawl, it has 5 tickets left. If you are interested in playing, I would highly recommend it. It's from 10 till 6 on the Saturday of the UK Games Expo. It's a round robin sort of play style. I mean, last year we did a knockout. We got some feedback. They didn't really enjoy the knockout concept. We agreed. We were going in very blind
Mhm,
to, you know, organizing a Rumble Slam event because it was the first sort of majorly competitive Rumble Slam event ever. So we were kind of
mhm,
going into it very blind. Um, but this year we decided to get people more games. So at minimum, people are playing will get a minimum of 5 games, and for £6, you
mhm.
can't really moan at that. And it's 10 till
Yeah,
6.
that's really good.
But yeah, if you fancy playing a bit of Rumble Slam on a Saturday of the Games Expo, £6, get your ticket and put your money where put your dosh where your mouth is.
Sounds good. I want to get there for next year. I was hoping to get this year, but it ended up falling through. But next year I want to go. So maybe it's Birmingham Brawl 3. I'll have the ultimate cat based team, and I will crush everyone who gets in my way. I will get that belt.
Well, yeah, it'd be good to see you down there. This far south, I'm not sure you'd be comfortable.
Yeah, Birmingham's far too south. It's south of my hometown, therefore it's France. um, but while you're playing your games with everyone, what I'll be doing will be solo gaming, which is what we will be talking about as our main topic this time.
Nothing wrong with playing
So,
with yourself, Chris.
someone was going to say it. Yeah, getting a group together, it's not the easiest thing to do when you end up having last minute dropouts or scheduling conflicts. People just not wanting to play the games that you're suggesting. And, you know, you just want to chuck some dice about. One of the things that I look at to combat that is, does it play solo? And if it doesn't, can I make it play solo? So two of the main games that I play quite often solo aren't like traditional solo games. It's how many times can I say solo in this paragraph? It's Carnivale and Rumble Slam, and I mean I do it quite successfully. I kind of I've got a mind for like kind of playing each of the teams objective, like playing them objectively. So when I play as the 1001 fights against the bodybuilders, I'm not just trying to get them defeated so the cats win. Oh, although they did win when I had those two teams up against each other, but that was through a lot of vigorous use of Catsword Burning and Flying Carpet. But yeah, there's like there's ways of playing some games solo. It is just a case of what would what would I do in this situation rather than you know
Yeah,
just
it's about being.
I want this team to win, so I'm going to put them in inopportune situations.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think. Um, you can't play it biasly. You do have to play it like objectively. You've got to base it on as if you're as to yeah. We've said it before, but you are playing yourself,
Mhm,
and you have to. Take Rumble Slam for example, because I've done it. I've played Rumble Slam on its own. I did it in a very different way. So I sort of did like a Royal Rumble style with my superstars.
mhm,
And what I did, I had never, because this is where it gets really weird. So every round, because depending on how many people were in the ring, when there was 4 people in the ring, I'd roll a d4, right? Whenever I activated a character, I would roll a d4. Each of the character cards had a number based on them. So I'd roll a d4, that's the character, and I would just roll all of their initiatives, and then whoever got the initiative first, I just went round in that route.
Mm-hmm.
And then to decide their target to begin the game, I just rolled a d4 to see who their target was going to be. So let's say I started with Chuck in one corner and, Ice was in another and whatever. I'd roll a d4 and then you go, okay, so it's 2. So Chuck's going to attack Ice. That was his target. And then after that, it then just became who was the nearest at any given time.
Yeah, what would be a natural target?
Yeah, and then if everyone was really close together, I would then resort back to the dice, who was going to be the target. So I couldn't then play favourites on. Oh well, I'm not going to get Ice to do Chuck in because I like Chuck. And no, it was very. And then the more wrestlers that got into the ring, I always tried to keep it on an even number because obviously dice only go up in 2s.
Yeah.
So it would always be like 2 new wrestlers would enter the ring every so often,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would just up a dice to sort of keep it. I mean, I've got D4, D6, D8, D10s, D12s,
Oh yeah, like your
and then obviously,
standard polish.
yeah, and then obviously from the D12, I haven't. There's nothing in between. Is there a D18? Probably. I haven't.
No, you can probably get one. You can get
I
D7s.
never needed to go above
Just
D12.
they're not a regular one that you see.
Yeah, I mean, I never really go above 12 anyway because it starts getting a bit too hectic, and by that point, people start getting knocked out. But the same principle,
Mm.
sort of, it's just easier that way. So that's how I randomized it and tried to be unbiased when I'm playing Rumble Slam if I'm playing it solo.
Mm.
But that's just my take on it. I know you play it solo in a very different way, and you're trying to.
Yeah,
Well, I
when
know
I
when you play, you try and play that team to their strengths.
mhm. When I did in like an 8-man tag game, so like four casinos were playing. Who would kind of have like beef with the other one? So you've got the brothers Berserk, just heels. They're going to be going after the main faces. That's the Dragon Brawlers. Then my Matt Cardona Stomp in Paradise, Colonel Russ. He was there. He was just out to get whoever was the most toyetic, and that was the brothers Berserk, and just kind of creating a fight built through that, and then just naturally occurring brawls.
Another good tabletop game I found while we're sticking on the subject of games that aren't built for solo play but
Mhm.
can be quite easily transferred into solo play is Gaslands is one that's so simple to push into solo play because at
Mm.
the end of the day it's a race, so
Yeah.
each vehicle is trying to win. And also Gasland's main rule is the rule of chaos, so you're trying to create as much mayhem as you can.
Mhm.
So that in itself adds to that whole solo aspect because you can just make as much carnage as you want. But then if you just treat each car as this racer's trying to win, it's that becomes quite a simple game to play on your own.
Mhm.
Um, Also as well, it's not just miniature and tabletop games. There's plenty of board games out there as well that prime example, I have a board game version of Wacky Races. I don't know if you remember that, Chris.
Oh, I love wacky races.
So I have the board game of Wacky Races, and that can be played solo. So you can play on your own because all the other cars work on their own. Granted, they
Mhm.
can't use the same things you can do, but again, you can just play it on your own if you want. It's not a massive,
To
massive
be
issue.
fair, no one was setting up traps like Dick Dastardly, so you're going to play as Dick Dastardly.
Ah, so that's the thing about that game. Nobody plays as Dick Dastardly. He acts independently anyway.
Ah, right.
Because yeah, it's quite
To stop everyone arguing over who gets to play him.
I think that was probably the case. It's a really, really fun game, actually. If you ever get your chance,
Who wants to be the Arkansas Chugabug?
nobody. Oh, mate, I'm either the Slag Twins,
Mm.
or I'm the Anthill Mob, or I'm the Gruesome
Anthill
Twosome.
Mob's good.
They're my
Yeah,
main
the Gruesome
go-tos.
Twosome and the Creepy Coop, they were the boys. I
They are
love
the
them.
or this Army Surplus Special was another personal favourite of mine. Their tank.
Yes, the tank one, yeah.
But sorry, I digress. But yeah, it's as much as fun it is to try and play a game that you love, to see if you can play it solo. There are plenty of games out there that do a fantastic job of solo
Mm.
play. And just for everyone listening out there, you're going to be sort of bombarded a lot with a lot of Black Site Studio stuff today. Because quite frankly, and Chris will agree with me, they almost do it the other way round, where it is they design the game first to be played solo, and then you can just have other people play on top of it. It will work with other people.
Mm. Yeah.
So, Chris, you want to? You sorry, I interrupted you a little bit there, and I took away your flow.
Well, Mars Attacks from Mantic. It's out of production now, and which is a shame because it's a bloody great game. It kind of has like a stripped down version of the Dead Zone rules,
Oh, okay.
and like really nice. Where Dead Zone uses like you basically imagine everything as a like a cube space. So like I think it's about 3 inch cubes that everything's in. So all the scenery is like 3 inch tall, and yeah, you stack it up like that. Mars Attacks uses that same kind of thing, but you're not playing it over multi levels. I mean, you could easily do that. I've done that myself, but it's like everything is in a like 3 inch grid, and they actually created a little AI deck of cards, so you could play it, and each turn you draw the AI card for what the Martians are doing, and it has a picture of the like just like the basic map, and certain areas are highlighted, and it's if there's an enemy in this like in this highlighted area, it'll be this type of unit. So it could be like a heavy unit. So you'd be looking at things like the giant stampy robot, or the flying saucers, or one of like the heavy weapon guys, like the big freeze rays.
Yeah.
And if they weren't in that area, then it's like basically you choose one of the other units that are in there. So it's just like they're not the main focus of what you would have been going, but that's how it is. And they always go for like play for the objective and causing damage. There's like a little flow chart of how they'll do it. And when you're moving them, it's you always want to put them into the best spot for them. So if there's cover in that square, they'll go behind the cover, rather than stand in the front to give an easy shot for you later. It's like it's a really simple way of doing an AI mechanic, and it works so well. And it's just like I think it's probably one of the best purchases I made for Mars Attacks, other than buying the game itself.
I mean, if while we're on the subject of Mantic, they do another really, really good sort of. Do you know what? It's unfair to call it a miniatures tabletop game. It is more of a board game, but it does have miniatures. And I don't know if you've seen this, um, the Hellboy board game.
Mm.
So
Yes,
I'm
I didn't back that on Kickstarter when it came out, but I was watching how it went.
I did.
Yeah.
I am a massive Hellboy fan. Even
I've read a few of the comics, like the
so
BPRD comics and stuff.
the artist who did the original comics, or the guy who did the original owners of the comics and the artist,
Mhm.
it's all
Is
done
it
in that
Mike
art style.
Mignona? Mignona?
Yes, so he was a big part of the game as well. The art style was in that comic book art style. Um,
Mhm.
you only control the heroes or the heroes of the the BRPD or the BPRD, sorry, the
Mhm.
Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense. And what happens is when you play the game for the first time, you have the case file, and then obviously the case file you go through, and then when you enter new rooms, it will tell you the room, and then it will build the room, and the
Mhm.
enemies will all act independently anyway. So it's never like me versus you. It's we're working together if we're playing together, but
Mhm.
you can effectively play it solo because you're still going towards the same goal,
Yeah.
and you're trying to sort of investigate the paranormal disturbances. And then what happens is you sort of crawl through, and then it's like it's almost like a dungeon crawling board game, and there's a big bad at the end, and you have
Mhm.
to investigate and get enough clues for that big bad to happen. But obviously, up to that point, there's enemies in the way that you've got to deal with, and obviously each of the BPRDs have different abilities. So obviously, there's Hellboy, there's
Lobster Johnson.
Lobster Johnson, and then you've got Doctor Strauss. What's his name? Abraham, Abe,
Mhm.
Abe Sapien.
That's the monkey in it.
No, he's the
Yeah.
fish. That's the fish guy, Abe Sapien.
Ah.
He's the
Who's the
fish.
big gorilla?
Oh, I can't
Is there a
remember.
gorilla?
And then,
Sure, there's a gorilla in it.
and
There's
obviously
always a
his
gorilla.
girlfriend, who's got all the flamey stuff. I backed a big box of Doom, and that's got like other heroes, and there's other like
Mhm.
backers that you other expansion packs where you can have Hellboy and a luchadors like Hellboy El Mexico, where you can have Hellboy in a wrestling mask. It's so good. It's so funny. But again, it's one of those it's one of those games. Again, it's kind of like a miniatures board game rather than a tabletop miniatures game. I'll say with inverted commas,
Mhm.
but still, as a game, it works really well solo. I've played it solo a couple of times with great success, and it's been great fun anyway. Because it's almost for me, it's almost like you're there visually watching the comic unfold.
Mhm.
So I just thought while we were on the subject of Mantic Mars attacks, I just kind of wanted to mention the Hellboy
Well,
board game.
I'll keep it with Mandic as well, and it's another one where the source materials really like a key part of it. I
Mm,
mean, with Mars Attacks, it was top trading cards. So like the imagery of what you know from like the Tim Burton film was there, and because that all came directly from these tops cards. But something that had a lot more flavor to it was The Walking Dead. And The Walking Dead All Out War's got a narrative campaign that starts as a single player with the team of survivors, and later on through the narrative campaign, it becomes more faction versus faction.
mm.
So you'd have more players joining it, but it's very easy just to play it solo. Just thinking, you know, the governor's team in Woodbury, they're fighting against the survivors, the Atlanta survivors in the prison, and it's obvious who's going to be attacking who, and it's really easy to play solo. Where when it says like have another player there, it's still easy to do.
I mean, you've basically sold me on the Walking Dead uh, All Out War game, and I have
Mhm.
been uh, sort of every so often looking at Mantic games online and looking at other places that sell the Walking Dead, and I keep looking at it and I'm thinking, should I? And
Mhm.
it's
Well,
get
they're doing the Commonwealth expansion soon. I think it is. They've been up for pre-order, and they're doing. I think it might be like print on or like make on demand uh, for the other stuff, but it's like from what I've seen of it, it's not it's not like a one for one of the previous waves. So where you got like specific boxes with the characters in, and you got the All Out War cards. You also got the Call to Arms cards in the later ones.
Nice.
Um, I'm I'm not sure if it's going to be in those like set boxes with the molded plastic inners and stuff like that. It's just I don't. It's the way it's worded. I'm not too sure about the packaging of it, so I'm not sure what's going to be in with everything. But I mean, like, great game. They do big bundles and small bundles as well, where you get everything you need for it. So definitely keep an eye for that. It with The Walking Dead, the RPG also contains rules for doing an oracle system, where you basically pose a question and you roll for the result using a strong yes, yes, no, strong no, and still to play that, but I mean, it's got solo rules and like your more traditional dungeon master rules as well.
Nice. There's plenty of other. I mean, you got the. Do you remember those old school sort of storybooks? Do you remember them?
Yes,
Um,
the choose your own adventure books.
I mean that's
I had a
as
Mario Brothers one of them.
I mean that's a solo gaming at its finest. I think that one. But
Mm. I've got a zombie one actually. Like will you survive the apocalypse? I think it's called.
I remember having a Western one weirdly. Hmm.
That'd be cool.
But
And who'd have thought you'd have a Western adventure book? You
it,
love your
I
Western
do I
gear.
do like a Western. I do. It's very me. Um, I'll tell you another game. I recently backed well with Kickstarter that I think it's one of those sort of games where it's like, oh, it's multiplayer. You pick a character, then you fight against like waves of enemy,
Mhm.
and the enemies act independently based on variables given in cards, rules, and such. And it was the game I backed. God, Christ, how long was that? That was a while ago. It was the Borderlands board game, Mr. Torg's Arena of Badassery.
Mhm.
The company Monster Fight Club. Monster Fight Club have done other games. I think they did like an Umbrella Academy tie-in game.
Mhm.
Um, I think they've done various other sort of arena-based games. Um, and again, the way it works with that is you go to a page. It tells you how to set the map up because it's all on like little hex squares, and tells you how to set it up. And then the enemies will just act in a certain way, depending on what you roll, and they will act
Mhm.
independently. So again, you can either play on your own as a adventurer, or you can play on your own with all of like as many adventures as you want. And again, the system works really well for that because when you actually just play it, it's like you could just do it. Just be doing it yourself over and over again instead of someone else doing it.
Mhm.
Um, because the enemies are just, if you've played Borderlands, they tend to just go towards the nearest thing anyway.
Yeah.
But it is a really really fun game to play on its own. If anything, sometimes it's easier for me to play it on my own because there aren't many people that I know who are one into tabletop wargaming as a whole, and two,
Mhm.
if I can find that magical person that's into Borderlands and tabletop gaming, I'm looking for a unicorn there, really.
Yeah.
But I'll take one or the other. But
I'm in a similar spot, but with Fallout. Believe it or not, I like Fallout. Who'd have thought it? Knock that off your Tippy cast bingo card. Chris talks about Fallout for the 50th time in episode. Um, the Wasteland Warfare game from Modiphius, that's got AI cards inside of it as well, and it like that does a pretty cool one. So when you're like choosing who's activating, you do that through just like through a random draw of the AI cards, and you roll a dice to see what action people are doing. So it could be attack, could be a combat, like more combat focused one, or could be objectives or moving. And it says in the rules, if like if the thing that the dice is saying is ridiculous. So you've got someone in combat, you're in combat with a super mutant, and then you roll for the super mutant, and it says to to do go for the objective, and it's like, well, it's not going to move out of combat because it's going to get a free hit against it, so it's going to continue to fight. If it's got like a if a super mutant's got a perfect shot lined up on someone, and the thing the dice roll says to move towards or to move into combat with someone, they might not be like geared up for combat, but they've got that perfect shot. So it's going to take a shot. The Enclave guy might be sat on the objective, and this thing tells you that it's saying to move him. It's not going to do that. It's like use your common sense
Mm.
to go with it, and I think it's a really nice, really easy way of doing an AI thing. It's a different way of doing it to how Mantic did for Mars Attacks, but it's still like it completely sorts it. It gets it out for you. It gives you the options that they could use, so it adds a little bit of randomness. But it's like it's all there.
And I think as well, it's always
Um,
important with that to DA. You don't really need if it's to use a bit of common sense. Like if you were if that was a human doing that, they
mhm.
wouldn't do that because they just wouldn't
Yeah,
risk it. And it is you got to have
yeah. It's
that
artificial intelligence, not artificial stupidness.
exactly. Well, I think we can avoid it no longer, Chris. We do have to now probably start talking about Black Site Studios because I know you're Richard. I know you're Richard to talk about Black. Don't Look Back just as much as I am.
Don't Look Back is fantastic.
It
It's
really is.
such a good game. The we've talked about it a couple of times in the podcast, and it's just such a really nice way of playing either solo or with friends, because it's like for the players, it's completely cooperative. They've brought in some expansions to turn that on its head a little bit, but I mean, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be playing it, and you're going to be playing it where you and your friends are all trying to escape the killer. And the killer, there's a flow chart for how he's appearing, how he's like doing his actions for attacking, moving, blah blah blah. It's all like based on like things for that killer. So like your visage is like it could be like the guy next door, the milkman, the ice cream man. Um, it could be some kind of horrific specter that like plays completely different to the neighbor, and they're like for having the same basic rule set. Each of these different types of killer plays completely different, and it's always a completely different game that you're playing.
And then to take the expansions into consideration as well, it's just limitless. And
Mm,
you can even because like you and I know this, but I'll say for the people out there who don't know, Don't Look Back. The core starter set, if you want to call it that, it gives you a certain number of pre-made killers that you can just bump straight out the box. This is the killer.
mhm,
But it does then give you in the later in the rule book how to essentially create your own killer just
mhm.
through randomness. So considering the fact it's probably what it's D10 option, so you're still looking at potentially like 100.
I think in the main book I think it's D6 killers, but then with the expansions it starts bringing other things in like little green men.
Hmm.
There's like possessed people. Ends up bringing in like zombies and stuff like
Yeah,
that as well, and like pack hunters and like pack killers and stuff.
and
And
again,
there's like giant sea creatures and things.
and it's exactly so. but there's still it gives you it basically allows you to randomly generate a killer realistically, so it can
Mhm.
be different every time. And
Yeah, and
that
they've got like different perks that you can have on them. So we could both play with the neighbor character as the killer, but they've got different perks, which
yeah,
is going to be having them play slightly differently from each other, and we'll end up with completely different games.
and again, because the killer is completely controlled by AI. Well, I say it's not artificial intelligence, but it's controlled by set parameters of the game. It doesn't require you to have an opponent because it's a cooperative game.
Mhm.
And I think personally, Black Site Studios do really strive to make those sort of solo games that will work solo. If you look through their other games that they do, a lot of them are very co-op based games. They don't have many games where it's me versus you.
Mhm.
Not in the traditional sense. I mean,
Everyone's got a goal that they're playing towards,
yeah,
but it's not like an overtly competitive game.
exactly. And it's not. That's kind of not the point of it, is it? I mean, any most of Blacklight Site Studio games, it's more of a narrative driven game, and I like those.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I
another.
like being able to tell a story and like when you're like talking to it about friends about the game you've had,
Mm.
and it's like you can picture it being like on the screen.
And what I love the most about Black Site Studios is because obviously it's meant to be reminiscent of like the 80s cheesy slasher films. I
Mhm.
love the fact that most of the character boxes all come in like little plastic VHS boxes.
Yeah,
Oh, I love that. It's such a nice little piece of detail, and I just love that. It is great.
yeah, it fits the theme
Oh,
perfectly.
definitely.
It's one of those things that I don't think all games really take that sort of thing into account, where like something that isn't the game still fits in with the world. Like in The Walking Dead All Out War, the rule books that come with the main expansions, they are comic book sized.
Yeah.
It's like it's coming from a comic book based thing, and it's like perfect size for it.
Oh, definitely. So Black Site Studios do another great game that's great for single player or co-op, but we are focusing more on the playing with yourself. Um, is I haven't played a game yet because Black Site Studio are in the States. A lot of their stuff doesn't come over here very often. However,
Mm.
I do love the fact that they do a lot of STL stuff, so that's another reason why I've got to get a 3D printer.
I
Um,
really need one.
so if you haven't seen or heard of Himetsu, you play as a. It's not necessarily a samurai. It's you play as sort of schools. There's like different characters within different schools. So there's a
Mhm.
school of strength, school of stealth, and school of magic. I think there's another one. And each of the characters plays very different from another one. One of the characters from the school of strength is a sumo wrestler. Very cool. And it does dip more into like an RPG because there is a leveling up system as you progress through the narrative story that it's set.
Mhm.
But again, so that the opponent, the oni that you fight, so oni are Japanese demons. If you aren't familiar, um, they again act accordingly to a set parameters that the rules have done like they're patrolling, but then if they hear this or if they've noticed you because you're not hiding well enough, then they attack you or they do this or they call reinforcements. Again, it's all very dice roll based. And yeah, again, great solo rules. And Black Site Studios, I think, as I said before, I think personally they write their rules for solo play first and then it just fits very well into a co-op game. And I think
Yeah,
cooperative
there's definitely
games.
like a focus on it.
Oh, definitely. And I think you'll agree, Chris. Cooperative games are so much easier to play solo because you're not
Mm.
having. It's not a. Oh, how would my opponent think? How would I think if I was fighting myself? You don't have to worry about that because the game is doing the enemies for you.
Yeah, there's a few board games that I like playing. So there's Burgle Brothers, which is like bank robbery. The different characters in it, basically different classes.
I think I've seen on your Instagram that game and it looked really interesting.
It's a cool one. I've painted up the miniatures for it because there's like an optional extra, which I had to get. Um, where it's these like really cool art style plastic models,
Mm,
and I painted them up and did it like a cell shaded
nice.
like style. A really weird style to paint in, but definitely worth trying.
What was
Um,
what was that or was that board game that you had and it's about walking through and you got the light and the candle light.
yeah, the Night Cage.
Oh, the night cage. Okay. I've just looked at your notes. I just realized I've just scrolled down in the notes and I've just saw it right there.
Yeah, the Night Cage is another one that you can play solo. I think that's up to 5 players, 1 to 5, and yeah, Burgle Brothers. You're robbing banks. There's a second one where you're robbing a casino. I've got a game called Calico, which I got because it's got a cat on the front, and the idea of that one is like you're creating patterns of quilts. It's
Okay.
like based on colors and like the actual pattern itself, and different combos will attract different cats. So like yeah, you're getting more points for doing that. There's like points for just like general pattern design, like certain combos will give you points. Then you get bonus points on top of that for having a cat come and like sleep
Oh,
on the blanket. It's just like a really weird, fun little game. And again, that's one where you can play it solo as well. It's like it's got like rules for playing it solo.
nice.
The Resident Evil games from Steam Forged, they're like they're ones you can play solo or multiplayer.
So I know you went out camping the other week. And there's a game that you do talk about a lot.
Mhm.
And I've been looking into it and it does genuinely seem right up my street. And I think it might also be right up my daughter's street as well. Is that Bramble Trek that you go on
Yes,
about?
Bramble Trek. It's a cool one.
It's
It's a
very
solo
it's very journaling
RPG
based.
journaling one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So through the week there, I went out camping until ticks attacked us, and I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. But like during the day when I had everything like my hammock and stuff set up, I used the early access PDF on my phone and a deck of cards and a notebook, and I played through a day's adventure basically for it. So the way it works is, yeah, you draw your cards out, and they'll give you the events that you're playing, and different classes let you kind of affect them slightly different and stuff. So I was playing as the storyteller class, which is basically a bard. Um, I had a had some combat in there, and the way the initiative works is you draw a card for the opponent, and the higher number goes first, and you draw, I think it's 4 cards for your actions for this turn of combat, and for the round of combat, I should say. Sorry, and then the opponent, you draw 1 card, and that's the action they do, and there's like a table or what each card corresponds with.
Oh, like you mean
And
like playing cards, like normal playing cards. So they're not.
yeah,
Oh, I
just
see.
a normal deck of playing cards. And different, like your enemy has got like it just reads off this one table, and the different classes of character, they all have a different like thing in the table, is like on a separate table,
Mhm.
and it's like it's all like based on what that class is. So the storyteller one, it's a lot of things to do with like obviously telling a story and music to like affect the enemy and stuff. Um, yeah, it's a really straightforward one. It's when I was reading through the rules, it was like, how does this really work? But when I actually sat down to play it, it just plays really easily,
Well, I
and
am quite looking
I
forward
really
to that.
enjoyed it.
I mean, I'm quite looking forward to that when it comes out to general release because it might be something I pick up.
Mm,
Because there are times in my job where I can be sort of on my own, not really doing anything.
mm,
And it might also be a good one as well for when the kids, because I think it'll work well with the kids as well. But I think more on the solo
mm,
side of it, it might be good. And it does sound as well that the journaling aspect of it is quite nice as well. So then you can read
mm.
back on it and sort of and
Yeah,
realistically, you've just written a story more than anything,
yeah.
which would be nice. So
Well,
again, you can share it with other
it
people.
does have rules for playing with multiple characters. It makes the combats a little bit harder
I can imagine.
because it takes into account that you're gonna have more actions going against it. But now the journaling aspect of it, it's like a really cool way of writing a story for it.
Mm.
So reacted to the events that I had. One of them was I encountered a band of bandits, and I imagined it as an actual band. So the way I was thinking of it was it's as I'm like going towards this bridge, a bunch of ferrets come out because in Bramble Track you're playing as like little mouse people. So these ferrets they come weasel, well, obviously not weaseling, they come ferreting out of the bridge, and they're all carrying musical instruments. And the thing with that event is they take some supplies off you, and for that is like they've just started playing a gig, and they're requesting tips off you
Like an aggressive busker.
to get the supplies. So it's just like it's not a combat encounter. You're not fighting them. It's just like the way it's worded, a band of bandits. It's like, well, my guy's carrying musical instruments. Who's to say these guys aren't either? And just it's one of them ones where it's a really nice way. It's not like a grim dark
Mm.
fantasy swords and sorcery Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing. It's you can make it as nice as you want. The combat and stuff like that, it tells you what the enemy's doing, but it's not like gory detail like bites your arm off and stuff like that. He um, he does uh, an attack that like it takes some damage, like it deals some damage to you, and he's like what was one that it used? It's like it was like a swift attack that he did. So it could just be he's come up and he's like tripped you over with a stick or something like that, or the one I was going against it was rolled it to be a bird. So it's like as it swooped down and it's knocked him off his feet. So it's not a massively brutal fight. It's just something that a bird would do. I think it's a really nice way. It's like it's kid friendly,
Mm.
but it's not necessarily a game for kids.
Well, yeah. I mean, I say I'll be likely very much going to pick that up for Grace and me. But I think we should. I think I think we've been playing with ourselves a little too much. I'm going to run that joke
We
into the
have,
ground.
but we're gonna go blind if we keep doing this.
My the palms are getting too hairy to hide. The new and shiny section, Chris. New and shiny. Now, I know you wrote this down in your notes, but one does simply not walk into Moot Carlo. The beacons are lit, and Moot Carlo calls for aid. Who answers that
And
call?
the Tippy cast is answering that call with the Brawl Marillion.
Brawl Marillion.
Brawl Marillion.
Yeah.
These weird Tolkien-esque names. It's weird. It's not in a northern dialect. That's all I know. Yes, they've been getting teased quite heavy recently. They've been doing it in like little drips and drabs for the last few weeks.
And they look great.
And then last week they showed like
The group.
the team of them together,
Mm.
and they do look really cool.
My favourite mini of that someone they teased, it's the one the Aragon-esque one holding the dwarf skeleton.
Yeah,
That's my
cool.
favourite. That's my favourite one. And also the Gandalf. It's not Gandalf. It's something Dogreos or something, which is almost like a nudist.
Grey.
Nudist Gandalf.
He's just got this big old beard and just a pair of legs poking out underneath.
Oh, that's it. Brios Grojas or something like that. But yeah, grey beard.
Was it Bruja Grease or something?
Which
like
I think in English means grey beard.
It's like Spanish for it.
But it's very. They look right because I'm gonna. You know what? Because obviously, Lords of the Ring, one of my favorite teams, because they're just so fun, and to mix them in with the Brawl Marillion is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
And they're just great looking figures. We've done all the Lord of the Ring jokes on the post from TT Combat. You know, the Wonders Simply Not. They have a cave troll. What was another one? Oh yeah, it was like the beacons are lit. Moot Carlo calls for aid. The Brawl Marillion will answer.
That was my one.
And it's
I've posted that,
and it is great. Although I've just looked through the notes here, Chris, but the new and shiny is looking very TT Combat heavy. Not a sponsor.
Yes.
Not a sponsor yet.
Yeah, hit me up.
Hit us up. Hit us up. I will say one thing. So I don't know any of you out there are Assassin's Creed fans, but a reveal trailer they did for Assassin's Creed Shadow dropped today or this morning.
The China
feudal Japan. And one of the characters you actually get to play as. So obviously there's two characters. So there's more.
Is Gun.
Bear with me. I've got to find it now. So basically, you play as one stealth character, and then you play as the legendary. Where is it? What was his name? You play as the legendary Yasuke, which I don't know if anybody knows much about Japanese like folklore and such. Yasuke was the only African and first non-Japanese samurai. So the anime Black Samurai is based on Yasuke. So you actually play as Yasuke as one of the characters in the trailer. So it looks very epic. But I think we'll put a pin in that and we'll...
With the Oda clan.
Yes. Look at us knowing Japanese things. Well-travelled individuals, us. And there's Chris, who's never come down to the border where we start using the word the.
Don't know what you mean.
But the trailers...
Yes, so the TT Combat paint range is grown even further.
It has.
There's a whole load of new paints that have, I think by the time this episode goes out, that will be hitting the shelves. Including some effects for rust and verdigris. And some more metallics going in of some like more unusual tones. There's a really nice one. I think it's called Mermaid Scale.
Yes,
it's like an aquamarine metallic. It looks really nice.
It does. It's it's almost reminiscent. So I tended to use. I've historically used Vallejo paints
Mm,
before I went over to TT, and it is very reminiscent of that sort of turquoise, but sort of it airs more into sort of the green
mm,
rather than the blue. But still, it's a great range of paints. It really
mm.
is. But
There's a few of them I'll probably be picking up as I run out of other ones because I mean the TD combat paints that I do have because I got one of the was it this, I think it's just called the starter set
yes,
from the Kickstarter. Is that you got like a base range and then a wash with it as well.
yes,
It and a, was it a, a medium, a thin and medium, and yeah, that the yellow that it's just that is the best yellow.
do you know what? I will always sing its praises.
Is it Capri Sun
Oh, you got Spotlight Yellow. Funnily enough, I was using that earlier.
Spotlight Yellow? It's Capri Sun, one of the other yellow
Yes, it's a
tones,
bit of
isn't
a
it?
darker one, but
Mhm.
it's still a there's
Got
great coverage for a yellow.
yeah. Spotlight Yellow. That's what I've got. Incredible. Love that yellow. It's just the best one. That's what I've been using on the arena.
It is
It's
such a
just so good.
it is. Now, keeping on the TT Combat hype train, I know you got the email. I got the email.
Mhm.
It's coming. It's being shipping
Yes,
this
it
month.
is.
Half Tilt is shipping this month. That means
Get in.
any day now, I'll be getting an email saying your parcel's on its way.
Yes, can't wait.
Oh, mate,
So,
so hyped
so
for
we got
this.
that email just after we had finished recording that last episode.
We did.
They were just awaiting the cards to arrive. They showed off the box, showed off the rule book, they showed off the molds and a lot of the plastic models and not plastic, the resin models
Resin.
in the plastic bags, and it was just like,
It's game time.
yes,
Game time.
it's happening, and I cannot wait. But I'm going to put a warning out right now. This is some disgusting speculation that I'm making here.
And do you know what, Chris? It is disgusting.
If you've got a weak stomach, because this is going to make you spew,
You have been warned.
I am going to say more crowd models will be coming beyond the ones for the half tilt Kickstarter, and they're going to be aimed at Rumble Slam.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because
So they've been TD Comet's been sharing posts. They shared one with how Ronnie Salvage is popular with the Rumslam fan base. In that image, there's a dwarf woman holding up a sign that says "I love you, Ronnie," and that model is not in the
nope,
Kickstarter. It's I looked through the silhouettes;
it's not there.
doesn't match any of them. Uh,
And then there was the
there's
other one.
also there's also a scarab in that same picture who isn't the rolling beetle that they teased. So either it's going to be a new Scarab team to go into Diamond Oasis, or it's going to be a Scarab crowd person. And then today they shared the one with what you call them? Oh God, what's he called?
Marowak job.
Marowak. That's the one.
I think he was it's just like
Marowak
a
job.
skeleton, isn't it? In like short
Yes, a
shorts.
skeleton lifting up the top to show their rib cage, and it's like
That's Rumble Slam
that's
every day of the
def
week.
that is definitely not in half tilt.
No.
And it's like I, I can't wait. I can't wait for more models.
I
Um,
This is purely
I
speculation talk
also
now. We're out of new and shiny. Now we're into pure speculation. We're new and shiny's over there now. We're gone.
yeah.
Speculation time. I think those Beatles, I think, are going to be a whole new team. That's just my hot take on
Mhm.
it. I don't have any inside track on this because they have been keeping it very hush hush. But I personally think whole new team, and they are the weight ones. That's how I.
Mhm.
That's what I think.
Okay, more disgusting speculation. Another cat team.
I'm gonna need a shower soon, Chris. This is getting really disgusting.
I called the first cat team. I'm calling a second cat team. I reckon we've already had a Sphinx character.
Mm.
So if we not get one, what other Rastani could there be? I don't know. I'll think about that for next time for some more disgusting speculation.
For
But
more for more disgusting speculation.
for even more disgusting speculation, looking at the locked Kickstarter images, the like the stretch goals that
Mm.
didn't get met, there was there's some more relics crossovers.
I believe so.
So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, is there going to be more? Because one of the silhouettes looked like the Capital operator that TT Combat shared a picture of.
Mm.
It's not the like, it's not the same model.
Mm.
Like the silhouette's slightly different,
I mean,
but it looks like it's got the like the beaked ignite helmet
yeah.
thing, and it does look like a chicken's foot.
I mean, it would make sense because
Mhm.
we know from Rumble Slam that Combat love a crossover.
Yeah.
We've got the likes of Traffic James from Drop Fleet.
Mhm.
We have the
Mask
Masked Mayhem
Mayhem
and
and
King
the
Punch. No,
King Punch. Yeah.
no, Ostrich King. Sorry.
Mm.
Or what? Yeah, you got that superstar. What other ones? Crossovers. That's it. Because it's a Carnival crossover and a Drop Fleet crossover. It won't be far
Mhm.
behind that. I reckon that they'll get a Relics one crossing into Rumble Slam, but definitely I think Relics into
Because we're
Half
already
Tilt.
getting the crowd model
Mm,
in the form of the Rid End Maiden,
exactly.
which also makes me think that could be the Capelop because Rid End is that ones with the like the beaked helmets.
And again, it's purely speculation, and I'm not saying this because obviously I am TT agent. I do get some information from them, um, but this is hand on heart, genuinely just pure speculation between me and Chris. This is
Mhm.
why we were very poignant to say that this is not in new and shiny. This is not stuff confirmed things, but I agree wholeheartedly with your speculation because from their history of things, they do love a
Mhm.
crossover. So I don't think it's unfair to say,
Yeah. And I think like Half Tilt and Rumble Slam, they're the games where they can get away with it.
oh, definitely
Where in Carnivale, you wouldn't really
no,
get away with the crossover and like that.
bit too
The
serious.
drop, like the drop series or the fleet series, whatever. Um, they they can't really
No,
do the crossovers like that. But since Relics is getting that re-release, that big push, new models, I think it would make sense them doing these crossovers with a brand new game like Half Tilt or a big popular one like Rumble Slam.
again, it has to be a game where there is that humor involved. So Half Tilt and Rumble
Hmm.
Slam are those perfect sort of carriers, if you will, for those sort of crossovers. Um, but again, purely speculation. We will
Hmm.
say that. Um,
Yeah, even in our show notes here, it's got warning,
in
disgusting
speculation,
speculation as the head.
but exciting times ahead, and it is.
I cannot wait to see what's happening.
I said it first that I think it was a whole team of Beatles. Maybe.
Hmm.
I mean, would it be funny if there was four of them and they called them Ringo, Paul, George, Ringo, Paul, George, and what's his name?
The other one.
John. There you go, John Lennon. And they were all
The most popular
the most
one,
popular one,
probably.
yeah. But yeah, if they
The
were like
other
the
one.
Beatles, but
I think a cool one would for the the big model for the Beetle team would be loads of little beetles,
yeah, like a
just like
mass, a mass. Yeah,
a mound of scarabs, but to look like a mouth, like or a face, like emerging out of it. So
oh
that
yeah,
kind of thing, like if you remember in the Mummy,
yes. When
where it's
it's
like that massive wall of sand and
mm.
it's got the mummy's face like into it.
I mean, why not just have a
That,
wall of
but with
sand?
scarab beetles.
Yeah, all the sand would look
Just
nice.
a big team a big team of beetles. I think
Or
if you had a full team of them,
big pile of dung, and just a little beetle on top as a weight 3. Just a big pile of dung.
tiny beetle, smaller than the rest,
But
same size as the crab that's on Reefback.
oh, 100%. 100%. Well, it's that time. Thanks for joining us on the Tippy Cast. And if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow us for more disgusting speculation.
And if you're listening to us on YouTube, why not drop us a like and subscribe? And weigh in with your thoughts on our disgusting speculation and everything else we've mentioned, missed, or something for us to look at for the next episode in the comments below.
And it's a goodbye from him.
It's a goodbye from me.